Hello class. I'd like to get started a little bit in the Chapter 13 assignment to print out the Gregorian calendar, and our Revel activity has a great video that's super helpful with that also, but we can work together a little bit and see if we can get that at least started for you. I'm going to clean up some comments here. This maybe. Say that that's the main. Maybe I can think of a better thing to say there here in a minute. All right. As we get started here, I've already copied some code in that I'll uncomment out for you and let you take a look at. First of all, I'm just going to do some testing in the main. And so in our main, we're going to create an instance of a calendar. And when we're using our calendar class, we saw in our textbook that that's an abstract class. We have to give it more information than just being a calendar for it to be able to create an instance. I'm going to call this Greg Cal for Gregorian calendar, and it's going to be a new instance of a Gregorian calendar. And Gregorian calendar inherits from the calendar class, and that lets us use the calendar capabilities. Okay, I'm just going to put, like, I don't know, 1-1. Let's see. I think our year is first, so I'll make it 2015 1-1. So that should be June or February 1st, I guess, 2015. Now it's upset with me, of course, because I do not have some required information, and I'm going to go ahead and choose Alt-Enter and add that import for the Java util.calendar, and then I'm going to do the same thing and add the import for the Gregorian calendar class. Go up and look at those. Now I have an import for java.util.calendar and java.util.gregorian calendar. So both of those class modules are now included in my code. Now what I have commented out here for you are trying some different options that are available when working with our calendar class. So I'm doing a print line, and what I'm going to print is the literal today followed by some tab characters. But what we're really interested in is that I'm using our Gregorian calendar that we just created, and I'm using the get method of the Gregorian calendar. And the get method of the Gregorian calendar expects a field, and the field is defined in the calendar class, and the field in the calendar class that I want to look at is day of month. Now, based on our seed values that we put in for this calendar, that should be 1, right? So let's run this. And you should see that today indeed is 1. Now, if I just go ahead and leave this date blank, that parameter empty, when I create that instance of the Gregorian calendar, I should see today's date instead. So let's run that. And today is indeed the 21st. So the Gregorian calendar by default is pulling in the current date. Now, again, I was using the Gregorian calendar.get, and I'm using calendar.dayofmonth as the field that I would like to get, and that's printing out the current day of the month. So that makes sense. Let's try this next one. Have it commented out also. This time, we're going to print the literal day of week, followed by a couple of tabs. We're going to do the Gregorian calendar.get, and we're going to ask for the day of the week. Now, being that I love to spend my weekends making videos, it's Saturday, so let's see how that comes out. Today is indeed the 21st, and it's the 7th day of the week. So Saturday is the 7th day of the week, according to our Java calendar. Now, the next item that I have commented out that I will uncomment is based on this date, today, what was the first day of the week? And this time I'm doing something a little different. Instead of using the get function of the calendar, I'm using the get first day of week method. So my calendar gives me that method capability that I can run. I'm going to try it. Notice that it doesn't require any parameters because it's getting all of its information from the calendar that it's associated with. So let's try it. So we see that today is the 7th day of the week. The first day of the week, amazingly enough, was Monday, and it was the first day of the week. Not exactly sure about that parameter. I'll let you guys figure that one out on your own. It seems to be that it would always be Monday. I guess if we were trying a different type of calendar. Now, the next one that I'm going to uncomment is printing out the month. So we're returning back to our get method, and in our get method, we're passing the field calendar month that we want to see. So this is January. We're working with today's date. So we should see month 0 because we saw from our text that the calendar starts months at 0. So that gives us that piece of information. So we see we can get a lot of information from the calendar that we've created based on the current date. Continuing on, here we're going to say, hey, what was the first day of the month? Oops, it looks like I had that switched. Let's say, we're going to say, what was the maximum day of the month? So I think this is going to be the last day of the month. Let's check. I'm going to change my prompt here to say last day of month. And then I'm going to use the Gregorian calendar get maximum method. The get maximum method does want a parameter passed to it. And the parameter is going to determine what we're talking about the maximum of. So if I were to send this in a month, it would tell me that month 12 or 11, I guess month 11 was the maximum. So this parameter is dynamic based on what you pass it. And sure enough, there we see the last day of the month for this month is the 31st. And one last one here. What was the first day of the month? And we're saying first day of the month was get minimum based on this day of month field. Let's try it. And indeed we see that our first day of the month was the 1st, last day of the month was the 31st, month number 0. So we're getting a lot of information there. Now there was a little bit of confusion. How do we print out the long name for the month? And I've seen all sorts of different ways to do it, long formats and many, many different options. Hang on, let me find one for you. What I ended up with is one that we'll have to enter here. I'm going to say string month equals, we're going to say using our Gregorian calendar, using the get display name method, we want to display the calendar month. And the format we would like to use is long. And I don't think that we want to use the Italian locale, I think we probably want to get the default locale for our machine. Now let's take a look at that. We're saying that we're going to set up a variable that's a string named mm, and we want its value to be set by the output from the getDisplayName method of our Gregorian calendar, and the parameters that we're passing in are the month, the fact that we would like it printed long, and that we're using our given locale, so that we'll have January, February type months. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in a system.out.print for mm. I'm not going to make it fancy or anything, but let's see if that works. And there indeed we see the long name of our month. Now, that will give you all the different parameters that you need, and maybe more than what you need, to be able to create the calendar output that's required of this exercise. I want you to think a little bit about how you want to output things. You could use a for loop. You could use a while loop. You're probably going to want to start with a beginning value based on the first day of the month, which we've kind of determined as 1, and you're going to want your ending value to be the last day of the month. You're going to have to do something to account for what day of the week this first day of the month is. So you might have to call another calendar creation to see what the first day of the month's characteristics are. Now I want you to just kind of think about it along these lines. If I said for I equals 1, and I want to execute while I is less than the last day of the month, let me capture that in a variable. Last day equals Greg cal.getMaximum calendar.day of month. So while I is less than that last day, now it lets you decide if that's the correct syntax or not. It may need to be adjusted a little bit, because remember, I'm wanting to give you some help here. I'm not wanting to solve the problem for you. And then I'm going to increment I as I execute my loop. And within this loop, I could say system.out.print let's see, what would we want to print? I plus maybe a couple of spaces. And maybe before that, let's see, we're already printing out our month right before that. Let's see what we get if we run that. And so there we go. We're pretty much at a good start. We've got the month named January, and we're listing all of the days in January. So now all that's really left for you to do is prompt the user for input for what date they'd like to print out, and clean up the format of that calendar. It definitely can be challenging. As I said, you're going to need to take the first day of week of the month into consideration, and then you'll need to create a new line output whenever you're ready to go to a new line. So I think you've got that. I'm going to go ahead and create another quick video showing you how to input the data from the users in a good way to verify that everything is numeric. So hope this helps. Thanks.